Just want to thank CrokinoleGameBoards.com for sponsoring this Crokinole Happy Hour series. They're a small, family-run operation, well known for their board making, but they always want to contribute back into the Crokinole community. They love doing that, so thank you to them. Please go check them out, CrokinoleGameBoards.com. Top of the line tournament boards and accessories. If you want to get into competitive Crokinole, this is what all the top players use, are these boards right here. They run a great site, absolutely great customer service. It's just not going to get, you're not going to beat it. Very much into the Crokinole community as well. And they also got to go check out their YouTube channel. They have a treasure trove full of information, a lot of tips, skills. They go over the rules. That's Crokinole Game Boards on YouTube, so check them out as well. They also make all the boards for the World Crokinole Championship, so that's the best quality you're going to get. CrokinoleGameBoards.com, handcrafted by players for players. All right, tonight on the Crokinole Happy Hour, we have another absolute monster in the competitive Crokinole scene. He is currently ranked number 1 in the NCAA standings. He is a 2006 World Singles Champion. He is an 8-time doubles champion with his brother Ray. He is also the current U.S. Open champion as well with his brother Ray. He is co-founder of the website CrokinoleDepot.com, where you can find top-of-the-line Crokinole boards and accessories, along with an archive full of Crokinole information. So you know what to do. Go to the fridge, grab a beer. Let's hang out with Mr. Jason Beierling. All right, thanks for joining us on the Crokinole Happy Hour. I want to thank Jason Beierling for joining us. Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. All right, so you know the deal, right? So it's happy hour, and we ask our guests to join us in partaking in some nice alcoholic beverages. What do you have to share with everybody?
Yeah, so today I have the Fickle Mistress. It's a sour from Block 3 in St. Jacobs.
Block 3 Brewing. I heard of that place before. Is that a popular spot around there?
Fairly popular. They have Crokinole boards. We've helped them run a few tournaments in the past.
Wow. So sour ales. What makes you like a sour ale?
The taste, I don't know. For me, a lot of them are a bit fruity. This one's like the regular one. I really like the one. I also have a raspberry one from Collective Arts in Hamilton. Both of which I've got delivered to my door same day. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't like the, what is it? The IPA style. Is it like the
hops and stuff?
Yeah. I don't like that as much. So I prefer like wheats and whites or sours.
Okay. So in my experience, there's 2 types of sours. One type of sour that tastes more like lemonade, and one sour that tastes like pickle juice and sauerkraut. Which one is that one? Which one does that fall under?
Oh, I don't know. This one might be somewhere in the middle. The raspberry one I have definitely tastes more like lemonade, I think. This one's, I don't want to say it's pickle juice and sauerkraut, but
well, like a more like acidic flavor.
I think it is a bit more acidic, yeah.
Okay. Nice, man. So I'm going to be pouring one of what was supposed to be our staple beer at this our spring league this year, is Sierra Nevada Hazy IPA beer. For the value, every IPA now, every 4-pack is like $18 to $20, and I can't do that. I just can't, I just can't do that anymore. So this is such a great alternative to it, and it's like around $13 a 12-pack over here for 12 ounces, and it's just as good. And just IPAs in general are just a dime a dozen now. unfortunately. But the good part is for the consumer, they're all good. So, Jason Beierling, thank you so much. Cheers, man. Thanks
Cheers.
for coming on. So we recently just had your brother Ray on, but this question I'm going to have to ask you the same as I asked him. So, how did you get into Crokinole? The younger years.
The younger years. Yeah, I'll probably have the same answer. So we would, well, maybe even before I was in school, but after school, kindergarten or whatever, our parents weren't home, so we would go over to the neighbors, and they had a Crokinole board there, and we played a lot of Crokinole. It was a lady and her grandchildren, and then us, so her grandchildren are our age, and we would play Crokinole there. And then from there was tournaments in Goderich at the museum there that they had. So we just, a neighbor said we should go, I guess, and then we started going to these tournaments, and those were the first tournaments I remember playing in.
Now, did you fall in love with the game right away, or was it kind of like, I got to go because my family's going to it?
As far as I remember, I always wanted to go, and then at the Varna Club, you actually had to be 12, I think, to be a full-time member. I was only allowed to be a spare, but then we just got my dad to be a member, and I would spare for him every time. So then I became like a member. They kind of bent the rules for me. I don't even know why they had, I guess, in fairness, I have played with some younger children recently that had trouble focusing, so I could see maybe why they had those rules.
Right. So it seems like the same, type of, it's obviously the same thing as, your brother, but like, when did you want to take it like more serious in, coming up? Was there like a tournament that you're like, oh, I really want to win this one? Or was there like,
yeah, I think the first biggest one that I wanted to win, and it was the Schneider House as a team from the Varna Club. So growing up, and then we would go there, and I think that was kind of like, I don't know if maybe I'm more of a team-based person, but I really enjoyed going to that one and wanting to win that. And then when we finally did, that felt really rewarding. And then I remember like it really got serious when there was like a world championships, and you started thinking, oh, this is like, I can say I'm a world champion. That would be cool. And I remember being super excited for the Cameron Heights tournament, because my brother had went with Joe Fulop in the past, and then I was going to go as my brother's partner. And he said when you got there, you walked into the school, and the PA system, they would announce like who was entering the building and stuff. And and I was like, man, I can't wait for this. It's going to be so cool. And then unfortunately that year they had to cancel it, and they never actually had it. So I never actually got to go to that one.
Hold on a second. So there was a tournament when you walked in the building, your name was announced. Just like in, did you ever see the show The Office?
Yep.
Just like, when Dwight Schrute was hosting a garden party and he was supposed to yell everyone's name was it like that?
I think so. I mean, I wasn't actually there, but that's what I was told. But it was at like a school, and they had a PA system, and I assumed that like somehow they could see who was coming in and they would announce it.
I got to start doing that. That sounds like a great idea. How come that's not a tradition up there?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a special technology, I guess, to get the knack of, and then someone has to actually do it.
That sounds like a lot of fun, man. So you are a 2006 world singles champion, aren't you? And you got that before your brother. Is that correct?
I did. I always say that when the year he won, it was the maybe only time in my life where I felt like I actually was like witnessing him do something for the first time, where he probably got to see me do tons of things for the first time that he had already done. So
now, from 2006 until he won his first singles there, did you remind him like constantly that you are a world champion and singles player, or?
maybe. I mean, I don't remember specifically doing it, but I'm sure I would have brought it up now and then.
That's cool. So take us through that day real quick. Here's my daughter right here, by the way, just
Hello.
joining in on us.
Hi.
All right, say hi Mr. Beierling.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. So 2006 Singles World
Wow.
Championship. Why don't you take us through that day?
Sure. Apparently, I don't recall, but it was Tavistock's biggest flood. So the newspaper reminds me. So it must have been a rainy day. I actually don't remember a lot. I will say, though, that what I do remember is, technically I had actually missed out on the top 16. Not even the first time, but for the second time. So I was actually 17th, and someone had to leave. I believe they had to go to a wedding or a reception or something. So then I got to play. So I had went out for dinner and eaten like all this food, and I don't know, my brother was probably nervous and didn't want to eat, so I probably ate half of his food or something, because I was just like, I was done playing, and I was just eating to drown my sorrows. And then I got to play, and I know I played the way they rank you. I was 8th seed in the group, so I played as the 8th seed. You played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I think I started playing well, and I was beating people, and then theoretically my games were getting easier, so I was able to carry that momentum along with me.
Wow.
And then,
So, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So, and then I'm not even sure who was in the top 4, but I remember after the round robin, and I remember I knew I was facing Brian, and I knew that he had kind of lost the last 2 years, and for some reason, I don't know, things were working in my favor, and I even had someone comment later that I was able to take his discs off and always bring my button back onto my side of the board, which I didn't even notice during the game, but apparently that's what was happening a lot, so it made it a bit easier.
And when you say Brian, that's Brian Cook?
Brian Cook, yes. I was the third person to beat. Like that was his third year getting second, and then he proceeded to win the 3 years after that. I think he went to a sports psychologist in between.
For Crokinole?
Well, I've considered it.
Oh yeah. What would you? How you think that would go?
I don't know. I just think that when you're playing Crokinole at that high of a level, I think a lot of it is in your head. Obviously, you know how to make a 20, and you know the strategy, and you know the shot, and you should be able to do it. But if there's a lot of pressure, then maybe you don't make the shot, and then it just comes down to your headspace and where you're at. So,
right. I mean, that's like you're right. You can make almost any take it on the board, no problem. But like if it's in a high pressure situation, your finger starts moving a little bit, and it's all mental, and
yeah,
that's mostly what Crokinole is, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think after you've been playing it for so long, it can be very mental.
What's it like being at a final table on the NCAA tour, let's say?
Yeah, so I don't know how to describe it. There's obviously a lot of nerves. For me lately, it's been a lot of excitement. I've been playing this for a long time, so I try not to put a lot of pressure on myself. My goal is usually to be plus 500, which in a lot of cases will get you, if there's 10 people in a pool, then being plus 500 should get you close to the final 4. And then if they did a round robin, plus 500 again would get you to the final 2 theoretically. So I try not to have super high standards and not put too much pressure on myself. So when you make it to a final, I want to say I haven't been in a ton of finals. Maybe I have, but it doesn't feel like it because I played in a lot of tournaments where I don't make the finals. So a lot of it is like, I try to tell myself that, at least you got like top 2 and that's pretty good, and just like relax and play like kind of, the best you can or whatever, and try not to, think about the outcome too much. It's like one shot at a time.
Does the cameras from the Crokinole Center, does that affect your play at all, or your nerves, or knowing that people are going to be watching you other than the people in the room?
I think I'm pretty used to those now. I don't think those bother as much. The only thing that really bothers me is if I can hear my mom talking. So I
like just talking, or like talking at you, like, Jason, you should be making this shot.
No,
or...
just when she's watching and I can hear her say, "Oh, he won't be happy with that," or "Oh, good shot." Like,
yeah, you can pick up that mother's voice.
You can.
Anyway.
You can. The year that I won the world, she wasn't there. She didn't even come for the first like 9 years, I think. So, yeah, but that's one thing. So she knows, and my brother generally knows that I would prefer if he's watching that he's like behind me kind of thing. Everyone else I don't really care about, but there's something about my mom's voice and just knowing that she's watching and commenting that.
Yeah, so if she's nervous, you might pick that up in her voice, and then like, does that make you nervous as well? Or
I think so. Yeah, I think it's like her like kind of nervous antsiness like channels back into me, and I'm just like, oh, just shut up. So, yeah. And I think she's very aware of that because I've talked to her about it, and I'm like, can you just watch from like behind me or the other side, further away, or
Can you just not say anything?
Yeah,
like
just not. Yeah.
You pick up Ray's voice as well, or
not so much. And I think I'm a lot better lately, but just at first, when it was like the first few times if I was in a final, and even when he's playing, I have no idea how I impact him, but I will try to be behind him so that he can't see me.
There's a really strong connection between you two. I mean, it's apparent in your doubles play, but like, it seems like you guys are really close knit, and and that carries through to your doubles play.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think the Crokinole is the reason that we're so close. Being 7 years apart, I don't know if you guys got into that on his call, but we never went to school together really, and we never really had the same I mean, I was kind of friends with his friends or whatever, but Crokinole is the one thing that's been kind of constant, and it's kind of forces us to get together every few months really, or almost every month, to see each other and play. Yeah, and it's just something we've always had. So, and I think we have the same kind of strategy a lot. So we're very we can predict what each other's going to do very easily. Like I can probably read his mind a little bit when we're playing doubles and kind of guess what he's going to be trying to do. So I think that helps if you played a lot.
Have you ever been in a competitive tournament without your brother as a partner in doubles?
Not like an NCAA style tournament. We've split up. Like at block 3, we both entered with separate partners just to make us less competitive. But generally, no, not in a competitive tournament.
You're always going. You gotta, right? Because that's what you guys are 8-time world champions. Like that's gotta. I mean, I was. Do you guys ever get into like if there's like a local Crokinole tournament like in a bar just like pops up and like you guys are like, hey, let's go and let's I don't know. Is there a hustle that goes on between you guys like at a bar, like like white man can't jump type of deal, like?
No, but I do remember I was in Guelph the year that I had won. I was in Guelph, and some people I was with told someone, and people, they weren't believing them anyway. People weren't believing me, and then finally the guy was like, you know what? no one would ever actually probably make that up, so I'll believe you. Like, because who would
Like
make up that
they
there's a
don't
world?
know there's a world.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. Oh, I would always, I always thought that you guys would like just like hustle somebody like in a bar or something. Like, oh yeah, I heard about this game, and let me get my brother. We'll play you.
I mean, I do a little sometimes when people are playing it. I if I'm curling somewhere, or we have a board at work, so if someone's new and I'm not sitting at the board and they're playing, and then I'll sit down, and obviously they don't know, and then it's interesting to see them like watch and react, and then yeah.
Oh man, I would take advantage of that so much. Jeez. So okay, so NCAA tour this year, you're in first place, and then coronavirus hits. Like, were you ever in contention of taking first place in the NCAA tour rankings?
I think there was one year I got fourth that year, but I think if I had won the final, I could have won. I could have won it then. But no, I mean, last year was my first year in the top three. So I know you were talking to Andrew about like his goal. So mine, I mean, that's like the one thing I haven't done really is win the NCAA title. Obviously, I haven't won that the St. Jacobs tournament either. Second a few times, but yeah, I mean, for me, and the thing is, right now, I don't want to be the one who wins with the little asterisks beside it. That's like not a full season. So, yeah, it's a bit disappointing to have that this season kind of be all up in the air, but I feel good about the tournaments I've had this year, and yeah, so I guess I don't know. I was feeling confident going into what would have been London, and we would have been today down there with you. So
You had tons of momentum, man, and you're playing really sharp. I've been watching you guys on Crokinole Center, and I was there in Belleville when you won as well. And yeah, I mean, I feel for you because you were just steamrolling, and you're coming down here to a newly formed NCAA event. You had a couple regular NCAA players in here. Of course, you were going to lose to me and Magic Mike in the
in the
finals tonight.
final, though, yeah.
I mean, but you still would have got some nice points.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't that wouldn't have really impacted. I mean, as long as Andrew doesn't win, and then
Yeah, because he had a nice partner lined up too. That wasn't like a regular NCAA player, but she was in the U.S. Open last year.
oh yeah, Catherine, yeah.
Yeah, Catherine, and she is a very good crokinole player. So he could have been up there too, but there was Jeremy and his son there, and then
Yep.
But again, Magic Mike and I were just gonna like burn right through everybody. Hopefully, we would be in separate brackets with you guys for the single elimination part, and then we would have been playing the finals probably about like a couple hours ago in Indiana Farms right now. We would be hoisting up the yard and pounding out of that.
That was the goal, right?
What's that?
That was the whole goal of doing that.
Oh yeah. So now you guys, what was your experience with that? In the, I'm not gonna say in the finals, but like just like that weird ritual we have where we make you guys drink all that beer at once. So were you prepared for that, or were you like, what is this?
I'm not. I haven't chugged beer like for a while. I played my fair share of Flip Cup in the past, but yeah, I mean, it was exciting. It was sort of free beer, and it was a cool. I don't know. I really liked. It was part of the like atmosphere, or the, I don't know what you want to call it, of your tournament that made it so like unique, and it was like the whole experience, right? So it wasn't just like you played Crokinole, you if they did an awards presentation and then you left. Like, you had created this whole weekend like experience, which I think is like more important than the actual like necessarily playing itself. So yeah, I mean, it was a really cool way to like end the tournament and start the night.
Yep, and then the party started. So for people that don't know, if you win a extra pint Crokinole Club major tournament, you have to drink a 32-ounce beer yard full of double IPA. And in doubles, you can split it. But Jason and Ray won the U.S. Open, so they are forever, along with every other extra pint champion, they have rights to come and just grab that yard and drink from it whenever they want. But you have to drink it. There's, just to say something, like we always, when we win the tournaments here, we have to drink in front of like 20, 30 guys. You guys had to pound that in front of like 80 or 90 people. And so that must have been a little extra pressure on you.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to drink it as fast as I could. I felt like we were really slow though. And in watching the video, I'm like, oh, we're like, But to be honest, I wasn't practicing though, so I would have been just as slow or slower this year probably.
I don't know. We had the beer. I got a can right here that they made. They made this beer for us, and it's not a double IPA. But
I know it's a Vienna, right?
Yeah, it's a Vienna lager.
I think I would like that a lot more than the IPA. So that.
Yeah. I mean, it's perfect. We had, I should have brought the shirt out here, but like our shirts we made this year was great. It had this, this logo up front.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then on the back, it had the Indian Ladder Farms logo, and it said Crokinole fuel provided by Indian Ladder Farms.
Oh, nice.
And this is perfect Crokinole fuel because it wasn't a high alcohol beer or anything, but it was more malt forward and, But yeah, so any other unique experiences? Like you guys are, what are you guys, 4-time Ontario doubles champions and 8-time world champions as doubles. What, like, do you think chemistry makes a good Crokinole team for doubles?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've played in enough doubles games where people seem to get kind of irritated with each other as partners or a little down on themselves more. And I think I never feel, I mean, sometimes I feel a bit responsible, but I think that my brother and I have played long enough that we've seen each other go through, tough games or rounds where we miss shots, and we know that it could easily be, I know if he misses a shot that I'm just as likely to miss a shot. So it feels good knowing that he's not going to like harass me about it later or, even say much at the table at the moment. So I think it alleviates some of the pressure when you have a good steady partner that you kind of trust and have played with a lot.
What's one of your pet peeves when you're playing doubles and you're playing against another team? What's some of your pet peeves that other players / teams do?
Oh,
without naming names, just,
I'm not wanting it. It's not so much that I don't want to name names. I'd rather give you the names of the people who it's that I don't want to necessarily give away what bothers me, because then people will start doing it even more often and bother me more.
Give us one that's not your top one then.
The one that's not my top one. I can tell you that John Conrad will give himself a timeout, and then like take it. So people will do stuff to like slow down the rhythm, and that will throw me off a bit. I once had someone stand up and walk around their chair.
Hold on, wait. And was this a competitive tournament or was this like a bar tournament?
It was like it was like a second round, like a pool. And they weren't playing very well that round, and they said, "Give me a minute," and they stood up and walked around their chair and then sat back down, and then so like Um, so stuff like that, I'm like, oh, really? Like we're playing a game here. But you know, it works for them if they need to take a moment to like reset themselves, and then it also in turn can throw off the opponent. Then I mean, I guess there's no real rules against those types of things. But
It was a timed match, though.
probably, but I don't think we would have ever been at risk. Like I could also accidentally drop a button and be like, oh shit, you know, like
You should have been like, all right, I'm up at 20, last round. Hold on a second, and it's your turn to
yeah.
shoot. Go and like just go on, like do a couple push-ups on the ground, and be like, oh,
Just a
all right,
second.
where
Let me
were we?
get
Oh, time's up. Sorry, pal.
yeah, so I mean there's a few things. I find though like some things that used to bother me don't as much. So it varies.
All right, so there's one that's not your top one. We're not giving away your, but you're not someone to get rattled, right? I mean, like you have to be composed enough to, you know, face the adversity on the Crokinole board, which you've shown for sure, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I mean I like to think that. Yeah, I like to think that I'm pretty calm under pressure. Um, Especially in other sports, like not and you can call them sports, but yeah, I and I think my key is not I don't know, I try not to put too much pressure on myself. So I think I went through a period where I did put a lot of pressure on myself, and it just made it the game wasn't as much fun, and it was like too serious, and it kind of started to feel more like work, and um, so yeah, I don't know.
was that the attitude that you used the last couple seasons? Just like going in there, like knowing, like, hey, I am a really good player. I'm going to have fun, and you
Yeah,
know, see
kind
what
of.
happens.
For me too, I think I've had a lot of try to focus in the last 2 years on a bit more like exercise and just personal like feel better that way, and I think that's translated into a lot of success. Like feel better, play better mentally, that type of thing. So I think that's been kind of working, and try to stick with that for a while.
All right. You mentioned curling before. Are you a curler?
I am a curler, and I will say that my favorite curling event to go to is in Cleveland, Ohio. And again, it's all about the experience. We've won it twice. I've been about 7 or 8 times, but it's all about the experience. They home host us. The Friday night is like a costume party, open bar. Saturday night's a real formal dinner, and it's just a lot of fun. And it's about the people, right? Like, and now I have these relationships with all these people. I've kind of brought them the game of Crokinole, so they all have Crokinole boards now down there too. They don't play it quite as much as you guys or anything, but yeah, these weekends away in the States or wherever where you can be around people that are really like good people and share a game with them for the weekend. That's a good time for me, and I really look forward to those events.
Yeah. I mean, that's yeah, it is about the experience, right? I mean, yes, there's going to be one person that wins or one team that wins, but or you know, or places or whatever. But it's more important for everyone just to get together and just have a great time and hang out, and then yeah, and that's what I like about Crokinole, especially going towards a couple NCAA tournaments. But you know, I went to where was I? I went to the Worlds, which was a great experience. Then I went to Belleville, which was another great experience. And everyone's so nice, and everyone, you know, you're just treated very well at Crokinole tournaments. So for sure.
There is with curling, there's more drinking though.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so for example, a lot of any NCAA tournament that I've missed in the past like 5 years has probably been because I've been curling that day instead.
Okay.
But for me, curling's a team event, and I can go with and it's a full day, and you get to drink. And I have a real good friend who I curl with, and she can't drink, so she encourages me, and she drives. So I have this
She's the
permanent.
DD.
Yeah, it's great. So we have a great curling relationship. So even, but last year I was doing better on the tour. So by like the London tournament, I have to make a decision by then. Usually there's like do I want to curl that weekend or play Crokinole?
That's your
Obviously
brother's tournament.
Pardon? Yeah, I think I've missed it once for curling. And usually Own Sound I miss because there's this week-long curling thing here, and the finals are on that weekend. So,
Is that called a spiel or something?
Yeah, but you can't say that at the border when you go down to the States because they don't know what you're talking about at the.
What is it called? What's the whole
The
thing?
Bonspiel.
Bonspiel, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I used to curl over here at the Albany Curling Club for a couple of years. Yeah, that's what it was. But you can't drink while you're playing because you can't bring beers out into the ice where we're at. But it's usually
Some places you can. In Cleveland, you could, and a few of the private. If it's a private like golf and country club, then often you can. But most of the public-owned ones, the ice part, not licensed out there.
Golf Country Club has a curling sheets on them. Where's this?
Yeah, a lot of them do. So in Cleveland at Mayfield, it's a golf and country, like it's a golf and curling. And in Kitchener, we have the club I curl at in Waterloo, and then kind of just down the street is the golf and curling, and it's like more private. But they can
play. You ever play bocce?
I don't play bocce, but I lawn bowl. So that's
lawn bowl. Now, what's that?
I went straight to retirement sports. I would describe lawn bowling as a mix of bocce ball and curling.
Okay.
So it's like curling on grass, except the button is actually just the jack from like bocce, the cat or the
Pauline.
Sure. So
the ball that you have to get closer to, right?
Yes, that's what you're doing. But in lawn bowling, your bowls are biased, so they will curl, similar to curling. So you'll throw it, and then it'll move like 3 or 4 feet.
I think I saw something on ESPN, Ocho or whatever, some weird one. So they're not like round balls, right? They're kind of like they're flat, they're almost
kind of they're round like on the rolling surface, but the other sides are like flatter.
Can you play this on a regular basis?
I've been doing it for 3 summers.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's my
league?
Yep, kind of. And then, so my claim to fame is that they have these, when you're in your first 5 years, they call it novice. So you can compete in other tournaments with other novice players that are.
That's just like curling, right? Like there was a tournament that we could play in if you have 5 years of eligibility to play in. It's a 5 and under tournament. So it's the same thing. Okay.
So it's like that. And then, so we've had a triples team, me and these other 2 old guys. It's mostly older people. And we won provincials. We didn't even win our play down to go. We were a B team. They don't have enough teams, so they let us go. And then you do like our round robin of 3 games, and we went 1 and 2, and then we won through a tiebreaker, and then we ended up winning our 3 games in the final day. And I remember it was funny because people were like, oh, well, if it's your first time and you don't really have experience playing under that pressure and all this stuff. And I remember thinking in my head, like, I have lots of experience playing under pressure, whatever.
Yeah.
But also we had this mentality of like, we didn't expect to win. We didn't really care. We were there to have fun. And then the fact that we started winning, and in the final, the team in the final, like the other skip or whatever, much better than me. He went on to win the singles later in the year. But they got frustrated with each other, right? And you could see like there was like some yelling and some frustration, and they were putting more pressure on themselves, and then they they weren't getting any better, and I just sat there and was like, okay, like I guess we're starting to win this game. Like, so I remember being, pretty surprised that we actually won, but also like for us, we would have been happy getting second even, probably. Like, it didn't really matter. We were there to have fun. So, but yeah, that's my claim. In my second year, we won that. But I don't think, for me, if I want to get really serious about lawn bowling, I think I need to practice a lot. I did play in one of the more serious cash events and got my butt handed to me. And I just think I'm not there yet as far as wanting to put in all that time to actually like get really good at that game.
Where do you practice this? Anyway,
You'd have to go to the like club on their. They have like a square green.
Yeah,
and then divided into like lanes.
yeah,
then,
it's like a bocce. It's like a bocce
Yeah,
club here.
and then they rotate playing like lengthwise the different directions. You can go if you're a member, and they'll give you like a key, and you could probably go whenever you want. Kind of. For me, it's not worth practicing. I don't think yet. Like, I enjoy it. It's great. I can play with my mom because she does it, and we can go in tournaments together. But yeah, when I think about how competitive I want to be at something, Crokinole about the only thing that that I can be that competitive at.
What's your position in your curling team?
I'm skip on my men's team, but I'll play pretty much anything. My philosophy there is I really like the strategy and the angles, so I like to be the skip. But if there's anyone on my team that I feel is better, like technically at throwing the last rock, then I would probably rather have them. Or if they wanted to be skipped, like I don't want anyone like kind of watching and judging and feeling like they could do a better job. So it took me a while in curling to get to the team I have now that I really enjoy playing with, and I feel like we're all kind of on the same page. But yeah, curling comes with its own set of sort of team drama, I guess I would say. Over the years, finding people you enjoy curling with and keeping them on your team, or finding the right mix. If you follow
Like just like Crokinole, like you need that chemistry, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, it helps if you're gonna spend like a couple hours every week with these people. You kind of want to enjoy playing with them. Yeah.
As a skip, have you ever like dogged on somebody or yelled at somebody for like slacking on their sweeping when they had a sweep?
No, and
that
that's
type of guy.
No, and I get criticized a lot for not being loud enough. I'm not a very loud person, so people be like, "I can't hear you," and I'm like, "Oh, I was telling you to sweep," but like, So I'm like, whatever. It's just a game. Like my curling team is definitely not. We're in like the C level of our thing, so
You're here for the beer.
Yeah, I mean, we want to win, but
any Crokinole boards in that curling club?
no, I've ran a couple of game nights in Crokinole, and some people will enjoy it, but I wasn't able to really get one there permanently.
Why not?
Why not? I'm not sure. Like, the one president was on board, and then we just never really did it. It's a good question.
I mean, if you're in a Canadian Crokinole, or excuse me, a Canadian curling club,
yeah,
there's got it. I thought it's like mandated that you guys got to have at least one Crokinole board in every curling club.
You would think
that's not that's not a law.
No, it's not a law, and apparently Shelburne, I guess, has the tournament. They have a curling and Crokinole tournament. My brother and I are going to win it this year, but I told them we shouldn't go in it as this was starting to happen, and my weekends were all full, and I was like, maybe we shouldn't commit to that yet. But yeah, they have like a doubles curling and then Crokinole.
I was drinking with those guys on between the doubles and the singles break, and what's his name got second in the worlds?
Aaron, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Those guys were a blast to hanging out with out in the bar in between the two.
And I felt like he had a lot of kind of curling strategy when he was making a lot more like little finesse shots where he would just trying to like sit his disc in front of like the other teams so that like they couldn't hit his off without hitting their own off. Like for me watching it, I was
freezing the disc.
Yeah. For me, I was watching it more, well, or he would try to roll like in front. And there was a few shots where I was like, oh, that's more of a curling shot, but like it works, or it can work.
Huh. That's crazy. So yeah, I could see how does your Crokinole strategy like transcend into your skip game plan?
Not really. I think mostly it's just about the angles at that point.
All right. So who's back to Crokinole? Who's a guy you don't want to see when everything's on the line in the finals?
We don't want to see. Historically, I have not played very well against Justin Slater, so I would prefer not to play against him. Although I think I've had some better matches recently. But also, I think Connor Reinman is probably someone who I haven't beat very often either, and I've practiced more against him than actual real games. And yeah, I probably don't want to sit across from him so much. I would prefer to play against my brother in any final.
Oh yeah,
because I'm most comfortable playing against him.
Because you guys played. Yeah. So
yeah,
all time, right? Since you guys are in diapers.
Well, and knowing if it's a final and knowing that if I'm going to lose, it's to him, to my brother, then I don't feel so bad.
Oh man, that might bring up some questions if you guys were, or if Ray was in, at St. Jacobs and you guys were both in the finals. If you lose, people are going to look at this and say, "Well, he lost because he wanted his brother to win the championship." What do you say to that?
What I would say to that is that it wouldn't happen that way, and we even changed the rule. So we changed the rule in Tavistock to prevent sort of the round robin 4 scenario. The year before we changed it, and maybe why it came to light, my brother and I we played each other in the final game of the round robin, and he was already mathematically eliminated. And I don't know if I beat him 5-3 or we tied, but had he somehow got me to win 8-0, then I could have been in the final then. So we didn't do it then, and I don't think we would do it otherwise.
So there's a nepotism rule in the tournaments?
That's not the rule, but the rule was we took out the final 4 round robin and made it like a 1 versus 2 on the other pool and 1 versus 2 at semifinals. Because when you have the round robin in the third game, if you've won, so theoretically, say you've won or you've lost, and you're either in the final or you're not, then you could help whoever you're playing, either help them do better or.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen, right? I mean,
no, it doesn't, but theoretically it could.
Sure.
So it's easier to just eliminate that possibility. It could still happen in any round robin scenario. Anytime you're playing and someone is mathematically eliminated, theoretically, yeah, it could happen. But I don't really know any players that would do that.
No, it's yeah. And I asked this question to Hutchinson too. And I know this person probably doesn't exist in the Crokinole community, but have you ever come across somebody that might have been, I don't know, altering the rules or giving himself an advantage, either slow play, deliberate slow play, or any kind of I don't know, cheating, hitting the table?
Yeah. I remember Andrew's answer too. I think there has been maybe some people slow play.
Deliberate slow play?
Deliberate? Yeah, I think maybe. It's hard to prove.
Right.
And then beyond that, the most I've seen is I remember once I was younger, but this one guy was playing, and he had kind of a second hand on the board. It wasn't Other Worlds, but the card table was kind of cushiony, so he would shoot, and then he would like use his other hand, and I didn't know, and I remember talking to my brother, and I was like, is he like doing that on purpose to like cheat to like get his 20? And it was hard to tell if he was just trying to like stable himself or if he was actually like rocking the board kind of as his button went close to the 20. So I remember some discussion about that. In the past, I've also heard of people using the same disc multiple times. If they get a 20 and then they put a different one in. I heard of that happening once. But no, not really. Generally, I think if anything, there's a weird, for me, it's if you're in a final, there's more of a weird, like, who's choosing the board and where are we sitting? Like that for me gets a little weird if you start arguing over like what board. I would prefer if the tournament organizers were just like, you're playing on that board, like, and us not have to decide.
What about higher seed, higher ranked?
Yeah, or that would be fine if the higher
they choose the board.
Yeah, that would be
And then the lower rank chooses the seat to start off.
Yeah, so usually they do something like that. I'm totally happy with that. As long as it's like pre-planned, described.
Right.
I don't know if my brother got into it, but my brother and I have talked about how we've sort of like, someone's like, I want to play on this board and we want to play on a different board. And then we kind of like think in our head, oh, I can probably, if I'm going to win, I should be able to beat them on any board. So I'll just play on the board they want to play on. And then you end up losing and you're like, like maybe I shouldn't have played on the board that they wanted to play on because that might have helped them or whatever. Some stuff like that can get in your head, I think, too. So
the Ontario doubles, Brucefield, you and your brother put that on, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How does that planning process go down? And I know he said it's just you did it so many years.
He does most of the work. I'm not going to lie. I print the scorecards, and I show up before him usually, which is a bit helpful. At least one of us is there on time. Yeah, it runs fairly smoothly, similar to the Worlds. But I will say, like, when you're organizing something, you're a little bit distracted.
Yep.
Looking around, watching timing, trying to make sure people are at the right table. You know, you feel responsible for making sure everyone else going smoothly. And I think for me at the World Championships, we used to run a skills competition, which I loved and was super excited about. But then after about 3 years of doing it, I was like, wow, this hurts my back. And
it drains you, right?
It's a lot of work to stand there and keep score and keep resetting up these shots for these people. Enjoyable, but then also like you want to focus on playing and you're kind of working. And I know my brother, he's more involved in our business. So even then at the Worlds, like he's half working. Like a lot of people are coming up to us and talking to us. And I know Jeremy must go through a lot of the same where he's trying to enjoy a Crokinole tournament, but he's also working. And I think it can be a distraction and it's trickier. So, yeah, like I like doing those things. But I was happy to give up the skills competition when they went down to just one pool at the Worlds and shortened the day. It was one less thing to worry about the day of.
Right. It's got to be taxing, you know. Organizing, keeping.
Yeah, you know what it's like.
Yeah, you know, yeah, that's what I'll blame it on. I'll blame it on that. But
yeah, well, because you're trying to like make sure everyone's having a good time and that they're sitting at the right table. And
hey, this year we were going to at lunch do a Crokinole flip cup thing. So like you would
nice.
like we'd have all these Crokinole boards lined up, and then you'd have to shoot a 20. Then you can drink and then flip, and then the next person would have to shoot a 20, you know.
Oh, nice.
So, but that was another added thing. I'm like, should I do that? or is
You
that going to
almost have to
affect?
have the board on one side and like the cups on the other to
Yeah,
keep the.
maybe. I don't. I just like just do it. Like we did it in our
Just
summer tournament, and a little beer got on the boards, but it turned out fine.
you can just wax that off.
But yeah, paper towel, whatever. But yeah, but like I was considering that. I'm like, do I want to do that, or do me and my
Right?
my clubmates want to do that? Because then we'll be like an extra thing that we would have to.
Yeah, I mean it's an extra thing. And I know there's lots of people from being on the world. I've been on the world committee for a long time. I'm pretty much not on it anymore. Nathan does all the promotion stuff. Um, I'm just kind of there. I help out a little bit, but most of the people deserve all the credit and not so much me. But it is one of those things where it can be hard. You hear a lot of people saying like, "Oh, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? You should advertise better. You should be doing this and that." And I'm like, okay, like you
Do
want to
it
do
then.
that? Like if you think we should do it, how about you do it?
Oh,
Uh,
that's the the same thing
so
at a smaller scale over here, but like that's the quickest way if you want someone to like go away, like, and they have all these
yeah,
suggestions, like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, dude. Why don't you head that off? You're in
yeah.
charge of that, and they're
How
like,
about you do it?
well, let's go away.
Yeah, you're like, "Oh, okay." I mean, and it's some of their ideas are good, and sometimes we can
Yes, yes,
implement them.
yes.
But it is somewhat entertaining to sit back and be like, yeah, like that would be great. And I mean, a lot of people want they want change in say the doubles playoffs format. It is tricky because you're dealing with a 20-year tradition of doing it one way, and then you have to, if you make changes, you have to factor how much time is that going to take, and is it going to confuse people. We're trying to look at putting like a buy to allow more people on the same amount of tables, just to make like 11 games, but you only play 10, so you have a buy, and you have to like stage it a certain way. But that could confuse a lot of people and cause, if that causes confusion, that could delay the day like even more.
Yeah, like an hour every. Yeah,
Yeah, so
exactly.
you don't want to introduce anything too confusing because you got hundreds of people kind of doing this thing. So yeah, running events can be tricky, but also very rewarding. So
I mean, we could do a whole nother one of these just with like the World Crokinole Championship organizers too. You know what I mean? Because that could be a whole
you
other
know,
discussion.
yeah, and that committee is really good. They, for the most part, aren't Crokinole players. Nathan, myself are the main players. Jeremy comes to some of the meetings to represent the boards. But it is interesting. They are very passionate about it, especially Mary Alice. She's been there the whole time. And she doesn't want to see it end, and she wants to, she loves seeing the kids come out and that it's a family thing. And to me, it's just amazing to have these kind of people that don't even play Crokinole that are so passionate about making sure that day goes so smoothly.
It's an amazing event, dude. Those people should be, and yourself should be. Anyone affiliated with that tournament should be very proud. It's an incredible thing. You know what I mean? And it promotes the game so well, for sure. Um, so before you went on, a couple hours before you went on, I put on Facebook if there's any questions that you would like to ask.
Yeah, I saw some of them actually earlier, kind of. But
So I might do a little rapid fire here.
okay,
All right. This one's from Andrew. Which opponent do you fear, respect most in singles or doubles? I think we already went over this one.
we covered some of that. I do really respect John Conrad though, and when I play him, it's like if I ever beat him, it's always like, wow, I beat like John Conrad. That's a big
Oh
deal.
yeah, yeah. No, that's definitely a feather in a cap. And I had to ask because I asked your brother this too, and I think it's a good question. Being like 8-time world champion and singles champion, is there an extra added pressure onto you when you play someone that's like knows that you're a champion? They play you in like a preliminary round or something, and they happen to beat
Yeah,
you.
I think so. I don't know. I think that I up my game when I'm playing against someone who I know is really good. So I feel like people up their game a little bit when they play. So yeah, sometimes it does feel a little extra pressure.
But that's an extra pressure that you've earned. You know what I mean? So
Sure, I'll take. Sure, thank you.
look at all those trophies behind you.
I know. This is actually like Jim's spot, so I kicked him out because I was like, Andrew did his in front of his trophies. I want to do mine in front of my trophies.
That's cool, man. Ah,
So,
man, that's some nice hardware up there for sure. So I'll ask you this one too. This is one from Josh from Extra Plain, Texas. Being brothers, is there ever tension between you as partners during matches?
I would say no. I think uh, if I always just don't want to disappoint my brother, really. So I don't know. I don't think there's really ever any tension.
Okay. Um, Jeremy asks, which one's better? Who do you think? Who do you think's better, you or your brother?
I think lately I'm better.
Okay.
And I think head to head historically, um, probably me. But I mean, obviously, if you looked at like NCAA points wise, and most tournaments, he scores higher points than me usually, and has made more finals and won more tournaments in singles. So I think scoring better at tournaments, he's more likely to get higher points. But head to head, I feel like I'm more likely to beat him.
Okay. Very nice. Here comes another one from Andrew. I said,
Why don't you shave your head?
why don't you shave your head?
I'm getting so close. It's like level 1. Yeah, it's. I think about it. Honestly, it just sounds like a lot of work to maintain. So I can buzz this down to a level 1, like once every 3 weeks. I feel like if I'm going right down, then that seems like more maintenance. So to me, that's why I don't do it. But
With
I think
there's no barber shops open right now, right? With the quarantine. So are you doing your own haircuts?
yeah. Oh no, I've been cutting my own hair for years. I mean, it's
Oh,
just like the clippers on like the lowest setting. Well, gradually I've gotten to the lowest setting. So
okay. And this one, hold on, we got another one here. All right. And who is older
I don't know who do people think is older?
between you and your brother Ray?
Yeah, I told you the difference earlier. So,
Right.
oh, actually, I even said who was older earlier.
Okay. That's right.
Anyway,
I should
he's
have picked
older.
that up.
For the record, he's older. We used well, I had a goatee when we first went to the world, and we both had goatees or something. People thought we were twins. They would say, "Oh, the twins." And then the joke is that I was like, "No, like we're 7 years apart." And the one lady looked at me and she said, "Oh, you must be the older one." And I said, so my brother likes to tell that story, and he has more hair than me
Currently, right?
currently. Well, no, but I lost my hair faster than him. I had a much more stressful teenage years, I think. I don't know if that's just my claim.
Okay.
But
So, what's the ultimate goal? What's the next goal for Jason Beierling in competitive croquet?
in the Crokinole world, I guess it would be to win the NCAA title. That's something that I haven't done, so that would be a good accomplishment. And I feel like I was so close, or am so close this year. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
Um, I don't know, because I feel like we probably won't start playing again until September. Um, yeah, I've heard Nathan and Andrew, they had a conversation that they recorded about it. Um, I don't know what people will decide, and it doesn't really matter to me. I would like to have a few more tournaments this season, probably, but also then it will impact next season. So I I'm not sure what the best thing to do is in this situation.
Would you take the crown if it stopped right now?
If people decided that they were just going to call it a season, sure. But like I said, it would be that year that always has that little asterisk beside it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
but I do.
Yes,
feel like,
I get it. Yeah, I guess so.
uh,
It's still a great, like you were like on fire. That's what's terrible about it.
Yeah, and I didn't play an own sound, which was too bad because that would have been nice. But yeah, I was gonna go to those last events, and yeah, I mean, I did the math. I ran all the scenarios. I know that like as long as I placed ahead of Andrew in most scenarios, like people weren't gonna catch up. Most people would have had to win 2 more tournaments. So.
All right. Well, dude, thank you so much for hanging out tonight.
I'll have to get another one. But
well, you finished that sour pretty quick.
I did. Man. I have more, and if not, they'll deliver, so it's okay.
That's right. 3 block brewing, right?
Block 3. Yep.
Block 3.
Actually, we have a lot of our breweries are delivering for free, often the same day, or like $5 fee, which is totally worth it.
Yep. For sure. But dude, thank you so much for taking time out and joining us. And we'll I want to have you back on at some point, maybe for like a live or something with everybody, and we'll have some fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Cheers.